So, good morning, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are joining me on the planet. My name is June Allen, if you don't know already, and I am a racial trauma therapist, and I am the founder of the Art of Greatness at juneallen.net. So I'm just adjusting all of my things because sometimes like this that's it. Sometimes the angle on this thing can look a little bit strange. Okay. So apologies for that. So today, happy Black History Month. Okay, if you live in the UK, it's Black History Month throughout the whole month of October. It's also UK Black Business Week as well. So today, I want to talk to you about the theme of Black History Month, which I absolutely love, which is all about saluting our sisters. Okay, the theme of Black History Month this year in the UK is about saluting our sisters. Okay, saluting our sisters, and celebrating the accomplishments of Black women in the fight against oppression. So yeah, I just had quite a few thoughts and stuff that I wanted to share with you about it. So I thought I'd hop on today and talk about it. So before I get into it, I'm just going to share a little bit of housekeeping. So the other reason that I wanted to come on is, if you haven't heard already from my other live streams, I am launching my business school called the North Star Business School for Black Therapists. And it actually starts on Wednesday. So the business school is all about showing you how to set up in private practice. Yeah, it starts on Wednesday, and it's from 1 p.m. till 3 p.m. London time. And we're going to be starting module one. Okay, module one on Wednesday, which is the autumn term, which is a 6 week commitment. And yeah, we're going to be talking about all things self care. And I think the reason why I wanted to put the self care stuff first is because so many times people can get caught up in all of the practicalities about, signing up with HMRC, and and really just diving in to how do I get clients. That's the first thing that people want to talk about. What do I need to do to start getting clients? But actually, just through my own experience, there is so much more that's needed to be in place before you actually think about getting any clients. And so it's important, I put the self-care one first to make sure that you've got your practices in place, that you feel ready to start this work. It might be that yesterday I actually did a self-care inventory. I did a taster session with people that want to find out, what the sessions would be like if they're working with me. And it was all about, how to set up, or how to do an inventory. Okay, how to do an inventory. And yeah, it was really interesting because people really began to understand the importance of self-care, and how important it is not just to do the self-care, but to understand it with the trauma informed and intercultural focus. Okay, if you missed the session yesterday, the taster yesterday, and you want to get the replay, if you click the link in my bio, go to heal.juneallen.net. That's heal.juneallen.net. That's heal.juneallen.net. And if you sign up and register with it, there's going to be a link on the page where it will say that you can actually access the replay. So I'll be sending that out later on today. If you're on my email list already, I'll be sending that later out on today as well. So you won't get the replay instantly as yet, because I need to set it up in the back end. But you'll be on the mailing list, so that you will, when I send it out this afternoon, you will get a copy of the replay to be able to watch it. Okay, right. So yeah. So the other modules that I'm going to be doing as part of the course. So we're doing self care for success first. Then the next module is all about money moves, how to set up all your money stuff in the back end. We're also going to be talking about the psychology of money, money trauma, financial therapy, all of that good stuff. So we're going to be talking about the mental stuff around money, and as well as all the practical stuff. Okay, so that's a 9 week course I'm going to be doing in the winter. Then in the spring term, we're going to be doing client attraction and marketing. And then the summer term is all about maintaining your private practice. Okay. So if you're interested in any of those things, whether you're a student that you've just finished your training, or whether you've already been you've already been qualified for a while and you're looking to set up in private practice, or maybe you're already in private practice and you need a tune up, this is all for you as well. So whether you're a therapist, or you're a coach, or you're a mental health professional, maybe you do diversity and inclusion, a coach, any of those things, this course is for you. Okay, so click the link in my bio and sign up if you're interested in that. Okay, so now let's get into the content. So for those of you that have just joined, my name is June Allen, and I am a racial trauma therapist, and I am the founder of the Art of Greatness at juneallen.net. So today I am talking about Black History Month. Okay, if you live in the UK, it's Black History Month, and saluting our sisters. Okay, saluting our sisters as well as celebrating ourselves. So I was thinking about, sometimes when I see the whole thing about Black History Month that comes around every year in October. I'll be honest, there is part of me that kind of wants to roll my eyes because I think about, you know, I'm not just black for 1 month. I'm not just black for 1 month. And my hope is that it's just about putting a pin in reviewing how we actually how we are in the world as black people, and for other people that aren't black, for them to remember that actually we are part of the society, and we deserve to be honored throughout the rest of the year, and not just some tokenistic nonsense that happens in October. So for me, it's not about just I mean, I talk about blackness and race and all of that. I talk about it throughout the whole of the year anyway, so I know that, I know that I feel okay. I feel like I've got the integrity around, talking about black issues throughout the whole of the year. But really, Black History Month, I suppose it's a way to honor, and to even to put a pin in it even more, for people to really think about and review their relationship to their blackness, their relationship to, to society, their relationship to whiteness, or just to look at it in a more deeper way, and to use it as a way to kind of review what's going on, just like I did yesterday with the ladies in the group about doing an inventory. That includes how you're feeling about your racial wellness. Okay. So yeah, I initially started rolling my eyes, and then I thought, okay, I can use it as an opportunity to really think about, because I love the title around, celebrating or honoring our sisters, celebrating our accomplishments and stuff like that, saluting our sisters who have contributed to, to fighting oppression and stuff like that. So I was thinking about the journey. I was thinking about the journey, of black women, and how we're still struggling with so many things, but at the same time, the fire that we have produced in terms of getting things done, in terms of being creative, in terms of um just being at the forefront of doing this work, and I feel really proud of us. I feel really proud of us as black women for doing this work. And actually, I didn't just want to use this space, even though it talks about, celebrating sisters who've contributed to the fight against oppression. It's easy to kind of look at the ones that have been in the public eye, the ones that we know of. Okay, but I also wanted to use this live stream to talk about the people, that maybe are not as public, that maybe not as well known, and to really just honor the work that they're doing as well. So the first thing that came up for me is just thinking about our ancestors. Thinking about our ancestors on the plantations that said no. Okay, really thinking about our ancestors on the plantations that said no, that gave up their lives saying no, that I'm not going to allow myself to be treated like that. I think about our ancestors that were enslaved, that were on the ships, that actually jumped off the ships because they refused to comply. Okay, they refused to comply with such a barbaric system, you know. And I think about those, and I want to celebrate those women. I want to celebrate the women that said no, like I said, on the plantation. I want to celebrate the women that fought. And I think about people like Harriet Tubman, that risked so much and was willing to kill other black people that told, that were willing to grass her up, or grass up the other people that she was trying to help escape and stuff like that. These are the women, these are the people that had the grit and the grace and the courage to say no. Okay, they had the courage to say no. And we stand on the shoulders of these people. We stand on the shoulders of all of those women on the plantations that said no. We stand on the shoulders of those women that survived, that tried to keep their families together, that did the best that they could. I honor those women, because if it wasn't for those women on the plantation that survived, that did all those things that they needed to do in order to survive, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be here. I think about even when I think about some of the women that think about, Marcus Garvey, for an example. My parents are from Jamaica, Marcus Garvey from Jamaica, and I think about Amy Garvey, and how she was really, she played a huge role in getting his books published. She played a huge role in getting his books published, and how there are so many black women that have they've dedicated their lives to writing about, us understanding oppression and doing what we need to do in order to push back against the system. And I think about people like Bell Hooks. She's written amazing books, you know, amazing books, and gave us the gift of being able to think critically about how we've been sucked up into this system of oppression, whether it's racism, sexism, patriarchy, all of that stuff. She created these books, so beautifully written, so that we can start to think critically about how we engage with these systems and what we can do to start to break these patterns. I think about Maya Angelou as well, and her amazing poems, and all of these women that have created these genius works, and they've become ancestors now, but they've left this legacy of powerful, amazing things for us to keep doing the work. They've passed the baton on to us by leaving these amazing legacies of work. So I celebrate and I honor these women. I honor these women because they have, they nourish us. They nourish us, even though they're ancestors. Their spirit is still nourishing us through their books. And this is something that is really, really important for us to think about when we're doing our own work as well. What legacy are you going to leave? As a black woman, what legacy are you going to leave? If you've been trying to write a book, and it's not published, and you're struggling with it, or you're feeling like you can't, or you're feeling like it's not good enough, or what, write the book. And I include myself in that conversation. I've been, because of one thing or another, I've been trying to write my own book for a number of years, and I still haven't got round to it. I've been doing little bits and pieces of it, but I've not really immersed myself into getting it done. I haven't really been really intentional about getting it done until now. The last few weeks, I think I talked about it in another live stream. I talked about the goals group that I'm in. They kind of challenged me and said, look, why not instead of leaving it till next year to do the first draft, get the first draft done in the next few months. By the end of January, get it done. So I'm having to, that means I'm carving out time in my calendar so that I can begin to get it done. The book that I'm writing is about race. It's about racism and recovery, basically. It's about the recovery process with an intercultural lens, basically, is what I'm going to be writing about. And I've done so many live streams on it. I've already written a lot of stuff already, but it's not actually been put together. It's not actually been put together in a way that kind of makes sense as yet. And I know that it needs to, and I know that's part of my legacy. I when I first started my journey of healing, a lot of it happened in the recovery rooms. It happened in the recovery rooms, and the whole concept of racial sobriety, and I've done a whole load of service in the recovery rooms. And all of that stuff that I've done, that I did in those recovery rooms, they need to be put into a book so that it is much more easily accessed, and that I can leave a legacy to the recovery, to the fellowship community, to the recovery community, so that when I'm not here anymore, people can begin to, they can continue to do their own work. And I know this work is definitely needed, because I see the literature and stuff that I've created for various different recovery rooms. I see it all the time when I go into meetings, and it always makes me laugh. It always makes me smile when I see that. And it's also a reminder of how important it is for me to do this, to write the book. So, if you've not written a book, and you're planning to do it, if you've got something to say, then you really need to think about how you're going to get it done, because it needs to get done. More of us need to be writing, and you don't have to be, like majorly academic. It hasn't got to be an academic essay, or, it hasn't got to be like that. You've just got to be able to tell your story and to be able to connect to people, through your writing. Just tell your truth. That's all you need to be doing. So the writing part of it is really, really important. The other thing that I want to talk about in terms of celebrating, I've talked about our ancestors, and writing and stuff like that. The other part of this thing about Black History Month and celebrating our sisters, or saluting our sisters' accomplishments, is basically all the stuff that's going on currently. Stuff that my contemporaries are doing and stuff like that. And I really, when I was thinking about what's happening currently, I began to think about, even the Windrush generation. How my parents came over to the UK in the 60s, for a better life. And as complicated as the relationship that I had, those of you that have been following me for a while know that I have a complicated relationship with my family, particularly my mum. I still can honor her and celebrate the fact that she took that risk and came over to here from Jamaica for a better life. Would I be a therapist? Would I be a therapist doing what I'm doing if she hadn't come over from Jamaica to the UK? I don't know. Maybe not. I don't know. But that is an important part of my journey, that I need to honor the fact that my mum took that risk and came over here when she was very young, and she did what she had to do to come over here. And what I understand from her story is that she pleaded with my grandmother many times, please let me come, please let me come, please let me come to the UK. And she got a few no's before she got the yes to come over here, but her persistence paid off. And so, her coming to the UK to do it, to build a better life for herself, that was her baton that she's passed on to me. And my baton now is to do what I need to do, to break some of the patterns, to do my own work in therapy, and to pass it on now. I need to pass it on to my daughter, and also pass it on to my community as well, through what I've learned as a therapist, both in and out of recovery. That stuff needs to be passed on. And so, I think, honoring the Windrush generation, the women that came over in the Windrush, that did all the rubbish jobs. They came over, a lot of people that came over here during Windrush times, they were skilled people. They were skilled women that came over here, and they ended up, in jobs that they didn't really want to do, but they did them because, at the time Britain was asking people to come over here to help rebuild after the war and all that. And a lot of the women came over here and worked on London Transport, worked in the NHS and all the rest of it, okay, in order to build up this country. And they did what they had to do in order to build a better life for themselves, to build a better life for their children. So I do want to salute the women that came over here during Windrush as well. Even though some of them go on the way they go on, I can still honor them. We can still honor the fact that they came over here and took that risk and did that. Okay, so that's really, really important as well. So I also want to honor, the therapists that are doing this, that are holding our community through the intercultural work that they're doing. Okay, the therapists that are doing this intercultural work. Okay, I had when I studied and did my training to become a therapist, I had 3 black women. I had 3 black women tutors throughout the 4, 5, 6 years that I was training. I was doing all of this stuff. I had 3 black women tutors, and I took my ass to Lambeth every week, all of that time, so that I could do this work. And I this is one of the reasons why I didn't just go to any school. I specifically went to Lambeth College in I went to Lambeth College in South London, because I knew that it was going to be more diverse. I had no idea there was going to be all the black women tutors there, but I'm so glad that I did, because to have another black woman to teach me this stuff, even though they didn't always go that deep with the race stuff and all the rest of it, the fact that even the mirroring of having another black woman there, and we, and it did feel more, I was able to share stuff that maybe I wouldn't have shared, in my writing and stuff like that. If it was a white woman, I probably wouldn't have shared a lot of the stuff that I shared, you know. So you know, I honor those women, I honor those sisters, I salute those sisters. Okay, the tutors that held me through my training, that read all my and marked all of my work, that gave me feedback, you know, that held the space and held up a mirror to the other students of color, the other black students that attended, that were able to see that actually, you know, black women can do this. It's really important that we think about these things, because and for me to honor my journey as a black woman, to honor all of the black women that came behind me, that walked beside me, that held me through all of that. You know, I can't talk about Black History Month and saluting sisters and not talk about all of the black women in my life that helped me to get to where I am today as a black woman, as a black therapist. I have to honor all of those people. I have to honor those people. I've worked with some amazing therapists as well, black female therapists. You know, the tutors have got me through to pass my course and for me to be qualified. And I've also worked with some amazing black female therapists as well. Black female therapists that have listened to my stuff, that have held me when I've been on my knees around stuff. I've done some trauma work and talked about some really painful things. And I've had black female therapists that have really held me through a lot of that stuff when I was really terrified. I was really terrified to talk about a lot of that stuff. I didn't want to talk about it. But they were so gentle, and they were so tender and patient, and they allowed me to talk about my story, to share my story, and to do what I needed to do in order to get where I am today. And it's really interesting because, you know, when I think about how difficult it was for me to have some of those conversations, and, you know, my fear of sort of getting close to other black people and all of that sort of stuff. And now I see it in clients all the time. I see it in clients all the time. I see clients that are afraid, you know, that they end up doing so much of their own healing in isolation because they are afraid. They're afraid of getting close to other black women because of the violence that they may have experienced in the home, because they've got difficult relationship with their mothers. They've got these horrendous mother wounds that are just, they're suffering. So the idea or concept of being able to get close to somebody else, to get, even in therapy as a therapist, the idea of being able to get close to another therapist is quite terrifying for them, just like it was for me. And even in groups and stuff as well, it comes up when I'm doing group therapy, when I'm doing workshops and stuff like that. You know, a lot of black women, they say, oh, you know, I don't really want to go to groups because, you know, black women don't really like me. I don't really like working with black women. You know, they find it really, really difficult. And, you know, the way that I work with that is I name it. I name it for what it is. And I say it out loud. You know, it is going to be difficult. It is going to feel uncomfortable. It is going to feel uncomfortable sometimes. If you've got mother wounds, or if you've got, you know, wounds around siblings, you know, stuff like that, and you're a black woman, it is going to show up in your healing, because you can't heal in isolation. You need to be around other people. The unfortunate thing is, you know, a lot of us were wounded in relationships. A lot of us as black women were wounded by other black women, whether it's your mum, your sister, your aunties, or whatever. A lot of us were wounded by other black women. Okay? And what's difficult about that is, in order to deal with those things, you have to get into community. You have to be able to trust somebody else, whether it's a therapist one-on-one or whether it's a group or whatever. The healing also has to be done in community as well, with somebody else. You know, the relationship was wounded in a relationship, but the healing also happens in relationship as well. And so you have to give yourself permission to talk about that. And maybe that's the conversation that you need to have with yourself or your therapist before you move forward. Because without that conversation, it's going to be very, very hard. It can be very, very difficult to move forward. And if somebody had said that to me, you know, I only recognized that after a certain amount of time, because mine was sort of playing out unconsciously. But once I realized that was what was going on, and I was able to have that conversation with myself, it reduced its power. it reduced its power, and I was able to kind of use that whole the anxiety and the discomfort around doing that. I would work with that. And that's the same thing that I now do with my clients. It's the same thing now what I do with my clients. So, I work with clients very gently around that. I name what's happening. And this is the reason why I'm even saying it in these live streams, because, with my business school that's going to be opening on Wednesday in a couple of days' time, this is something that is going to come up. This is something that is going to come up, whether you're going to, join the business school, or whether you're going to work with any other therapist, or, or be in some other group. It is going to come up. This whole idea, especially if you're going to be working around with other black women, it's going to come up. If you have wounds around mother wounds, siblings, aunties, or whatever, that stuff is going to come up at some point. And so it's important to be aware of it. It's important to be aware of it and to talk about it, to have an honest conversation about it, because that's how you're going to start to build trust as well. That's that's part of the building the relationship part, that I have with my clients, is to name that stuff. Is to name that stuff and have a really honest conversation about what it's about and why, and understand that how common it is as well. Because as soon as I bring it into the space, whether it's group therapy, or workshop or one-to-one or whatever, as soon as I bring that stuff up, I can see the relief kind of just drain out of the other person's face. I can see it. I can see their bodies start to relax. It's like, okay, now the conversation's kind of out in the open. We can talk about this, and I can share when I'm feeling anxious or whatever. That stuff is really, really important. That stuff is really, really important. So, any intercultural therapist, okay, that's working with intercultural in their practice, stuff like that, is going to be aware. They need to have an awareness around this sort of stuff, because this is what part, for me, this is part of what the intercultural conversation looks like, because we've got the history, okay, the intergenerational history that's being played out, as well as, the everyday microaggressions, the whole stories around, black women being this and that, and not, the stereotypes about black women. Not, obviously the stereotypes are there for a reason, because of some of the things that I've just said, but also there is this thing about society. They love to create drama so that black women, have drama with each other. Think about all of these reality shows where there's always some sort of drama with black women, rowing and all of that kind of stuff. Society, media loves all of that. They love that. They love to create drama between black women, and it reinforces all of the stuff that any fears or anxieties that we may have about getting close to black women. There's the stereotypes about black women being ratchet and aggressive and all of that kind of stuff. And, we internalize all of that, and then we think, oh gosh, I'm not going to get close to another black woman because, I don't want to have to deal with all of that. So we isolate, and we avoid, and we deny ourselves the ability to nourish ourselves through community, through sisterhood. So for me, as a black woman therapist doing this intercultural work, with predominantly black women, this conversation is non-negotiable. And for me, it's the most loving thing that I give back to our community as a black woman. This is one of the things that I give back. The most loving way that I can give back is to create a space for black women to have these types of honest conversations that are really difficult for us. So yeah, I really celebrate the therapists that are really contributing to the intercultural work. I did a training the other week on Dr. Aisha's work. She wrote an amazing book called Black Issues in the Therapeutic Process, and she wrote, her work's been going on for years. She's been contributing to the profession of therapy. And she's bringing in all of the stuff that she's created, some her modality that she created, is through her experience of not having a space to be able to talk about her experience as a black person in therapy, so she wrote the book, she's documented it, it's all there in print. She's left a legacy, and she's doing workshops, she's doing trainings around the book. So she's not just written the book, but she's actually doing trainings and stuff around the book, so she can actually work with you in person to do it. So, if you're a therapist, and you haven't done, I'd highly recommend doing her her work with the Black and Asian. She partners up with the Black and Asian Therapist Network to do that training. So yeah, I'd really highly recommend it. It's an amazing thing, and it made me really think a lot about yeah. I got loads of tools and stuff as well. It was brilliant. It was really really good. So I really honor as well Dr. Aisha for doing that. Yeah, it's again, it's really honoring my contemporaries, my peers, those that have been, that are more experienced than me, that continue to nourish the black therapists that are still growing and coming up. I really honor these women that are doing this, that are writing, that are creating their legacies and stuff like that. Another therapist that I really honor and that I really respect as well is Dr. Elaine Arnold. She's written several books as well on attachment and how that applies to particularly the black women in the Windrush generation. She talks about attachment and race and stuff like that, and she's written books on how the attachment theory, how it applies to us, within the context of race, and how attachment has been a huge thing for black women. And she talks about the whole thing around it just put me in the mind of the film around Barrel Children as well, and she where Nadine White, she's created a film about black children that were left in the Caribbean, the stories of black children that were left in the Caribbean, all of the broken attachments. So we think about colonialism, we think about Britain telling people to come over here for Windrush and all that sort of stuff, but no one really talks about the fallout that our community has endured, has had to deal with, and still dealing with. The broken families and stuff, the broken attachments, the broken relationships, all of that stuff that's happened as a result of us black women trying to do the right thing by our families. They came over here to try and earn a living and all the rest of it, but the fallout of that is a lot of their children were left in the Caribbean, and they came over to the UK when they were much older. A lot of them came over here when they were much older, and those relationships really suffered because of that. And Dr. Elaine Arnold's work is about that concept, about attachment. And she shares she shares that part of our story as black people. So as black women, I honor these women. I honor I salute these women that have contributed, that are telling our stories, that have left a legacy for us to be able to understand our story, to understand our story and understand what's not just what happened to us, but what is still happening to us, and the struggles that we're still dealing with. The struggles that we're still dealing with under this system, So I want to know the author of the book. So I can tell you, I don't have Elaine Arnold's book with me here. It's in my other thing over there. But this is Dr. Aisha's book. Okay, she's talking about intercultural therapy and stuff like that. Dr. Elaine Arnold's book, I can't remember the specific title of it, but if you just Google Elaine Arnold, it will all come up. Yeah, Dr. Elaine Arnold, her name is. But yeah, just really amazing women that are doing this. And I just want to just finish by saying this, actually. I just want to wrap up by saying this. The last people that I'm going to honor in terms of Black History Month and saluting our sisters, okay, is those of you clients that are doing your work. Okay, yes, I can go and talk about people that have done this and that and that have written books and they're in the public and all this kind of stuff. However, I could not finish this live stream without saluting those of you out there that are doing your individual work, because you are contributing, okay, to fighting against oppression when you do your own work. Okay, every time you show up to a therapy session and you share your truth and you unburden yourself of stuff, you are fighting against oppression. Every time you make a different choice about how you parent because of what you learned in therapy, okay, you are fighting against oppression. If you choose to watch my live streams where I am giving up my time, okay, to nourish the community, maybe you can't afford to have therapy. Maybe you're scared of having therapy. Maybe you're not quite ready to have therapy. Okay, but this is how I give back to my community. This is how I contribute to the cause to fight oppression, is by taking my time and coming on here and doing these live streams. Okay, so if you choose to watch these live streams and you're willing to open your mind and think about things differently, okay, you are fighting against depression. For those of you that are doing the trauma work, for those of you that are having the uncomfortable conversations, for those of you that are investing yourself in therapy and you're showing up every single week, okay, I salute you. I see you. You are fighting against depression. Okay, for those of you that are in recovery, black people, those of you that are in recovery, that are doing your racial sobriety work, I see you. You are to be saluted. Okay, you black women that are doing this work, regardless of what fellowship you're in. If you're setting up meetings, if you're doing service, if you're doing a speaker shares in your recovery space, I salute you. I see you. You are contributing to against the fight against oppression. Okay, teachers out there. If you're a black teacher and you're in a school, if you work in the NHS, if you're in a position of power as a black person, okay, you may not be able to be talking about race and doing all the stuff that you want to do, but your face, your black face in that organization, it also means something. Okay, and if you're struggling, there is hope. Okay, keep looking for what you need until you get what you need. If you're struggling to find the right therapist for you, okay, keep looking until you find the right therapist. Don't give up. If you're looking for a business coach and you haven't found the right business coach, keep looking until you find the right one. If you're looking for a book on something and you can't find the book, keep looking till you can't find the book. And if you can't find the book, you write the book yourself. Write the book yourself. This is the power as well of the internet and stuff like that. There are things that, that we can do on the internet, the way that we can communicate with each other, the way that we can support each other, the way that we can empower each other. Okay. The internet has given us the opportunity to be able to do this. Okay, and we can't be stopped. Okay, we can't be stopped because we now have the opportunity. I saw in one of the things that's happening quite a lot in the recovery space right now, and it's so frustrating, is that basically racism is alive and well, even in the recovery rooms. Okay, and I'm seeing in some WhatsApp groups that, a lot of these fellowships are trying to stop. They're trying to stop black and brown people from having meetings where where only black and brown people are allowed. Not allowed to have white people in the meetings. Just like you would have a women's meeting or men's meeting. There was nobody was complaining when they were just having men's meetings or women's. Nobody was complaining about that. But now all of a sudden, people are being clear about wanting to do work around race. Now everybody's upset and they're trying to stop people having these meetings. But, they can't stop us having those meetings. They can't stop us gathering to do our work. They can't stop us. They can't stop me having Zoom meetings with people that want to do this work. They can't stop us. They can take our meetings off their website if they want to. We don't care. Okay? We don't care about not having our BIPOC meetings, our black and brown meetings on your website, because we can build our own websites and have our meetings and our gatherings on our own websites. We don't need them. Okay? So those of you that are in recovery, that are struggling with all of this stuff, that are fed up of talking to, we don't have to convince white people about none of this stuff. We don't need to be on their meeting list. We can have our own. Okay, and I'm going to be talking more about all of this stuff as I write my book and all the rest of it, because this is the reasons why we need to have our own space. Because it's tiring having to tell white people to behave like decent human beings. To behave like decent human beings. They are so afraid of giving up their power and allowing us to do our own work. They're so afraid of that. That they're just this foolishness what they're doing now, and then trying to wrap it up as, oh no, we don't want to talk about outside issues. It's nonsense. It's absolute nonsense, and it's racism. It's wrapped in racism. That's what it is. So regardless of what you're doing, Okay, if you are a black woman doing your work, I salute you. If you are therapists that are doing your intercultural work, I salute you. If you're a black woman that you're not even doing the intercultural work, I still salute you, because at the end of the day, your blackface still means something. In the profession that is dominated by whiteness, your black having your blackface out there, serving your community, and doing what you're doing is still doing something. Okay? If you are doing your own work, okay, if you're an author, I salute you. If you're doing your own work, I salute you. Okay, what I would encourage you to do today, okay, or throughout the whole of the rest of Black History Month, is think about the women, okay, that are supporting you, the black women that are nourishing you, the black women that have been kind to you, the black women that listen to you, okay, and send them some gratitude, send them a text. Send them a text, send them a DM, do whatever you need to do. But Black History Month in the UK, hi Yvonne, nice to see you. Black women in the UK, okay, is Black History Month, and we are saluting our sisters and celebrating ourselves. So celebrate yourself, celebrate your small wins, big up those who are supporting you and continue to support your community, okay? Those black businesses, okay, those black female businesses that have been nourishing you. Maybe you go there and get your nails done. Maybe you go there and get your hair done or whatever. Big up those businesses. Go and reward yourself. Go and tell them how much they mean to you. Okay, tell those black sisters that are doing what they're doing how much they mean to you. Okay, that's how we salute our sisters. Don't just think about this. Don't just think about the likes of bell hooks and all. Yes, we love all of those women, but think about the women on the ground that are doing the grassroots work. Salute the ones that are doing the grassroots work, the coaches, the nurses, the whoever. Salute those black women, the women that do your hair. Salute those black women, the ones that, and like I said as well, salute yourself if you're doing the work. As Snoop Dogg would say, so, congratulate yourself for what you've done. Congratulate yourself for the steps that you take every day to get to be whole, to look after yourself. If you're a black woman parent, salute yourself. You sent your children off to school this morning with food in their bellies. You got food in the fridge. Tap yourself on the back for those small things, because those small things are not small things. Salute yourself. Salute yourself. This is such an important part of how we move forward. Okay, as black women, we need to get into the habit of saluting ourselves and honoring those around us. Like I've said, I've shared a lot of the different black women in my life, in my journey, that have really supported me on my journey, and I will continue to support my community, because I'm going to give back what was given to me. I'm going to continue to give back to other black women because of what was given to me. I have black women that pour into me. I've got some amazing sisters that pour into me, which I love and respect and honor and salute. So I'm going to do the same for you. That's how it works. That's how it works. And if you're not in a position to pour into anybody else yet, that's okay, because at the minute you're not supposed to be giving from an empty cup. So you use your time to pour into yourself. Pour into yourself. Pour into your inner child. Pour into your angry teen. Pour into yourself first before you go pouring into anybody else. So important. Hi Beverly, thanks for joining. Yes, reciprocity, absolutely. Pour into yourself first. Pour into yourself first. You deserve it. You deserve it. And I'm going to finish on this note, okay? When we think about celebrating our sisters, okay, I want you to think about the first sister, okay? The first sister on this planet who we need to salute, okay, is the one that gave life to civilization. Remember, marinate on that. Okay? The first sister on this planet gave birth to civilization. So whenever you start to doubt yourself as a black woman, oh, I can't do this, I'm not sure if I can do that. If you're having a down day, remember that as a black woman, okay, you come from that first black woman. It was a black woman that gave birth to civilization. So when people ready to come with their foolishness, okay, about black women and about how we're this and how we're that, remember that the person that gave birth to civilization was a black woman. That is how great we are as black women. And black women know how to get shit done. Yeah? The reason why I focus so much on black women as well is because black women are the ones that get shit done. That's real talk. Black women are going to get shit done. They know how to get shit done. And, I work predominantly with black women because they're the ones that are digging deep. Black women are the ones that are having the uncomfortable conversations. I have so much honor and respect for the women that I work with because they're so brave. They're so brave and so courageous, and they're the ones that are having the uncomfortable conversations. We're the ones that are having the uncomfortable conversations. So celebrate yourself. Celebrate yourself. Celebrate every single baby step that you take. Whatever step you take, whether it's, doing a public speaking gig or whether you woke up in this morning, one is not bigger than the other. Each step is just as valuable. Because if you don't get out of bed, you ain't gonna do the public speaking. Each baby step matters. Every single baby step matters. So you need to remember that. Okay? If you are a black woman, okay, and you are a newly qualified a student therapist, or maybe you've been in private practice for a while, or maybe you're a coach, or maybe you're a wellness professional, whatever it is, and you would like to work with me in the North Star Business School, okay, we begin this Wednesday, okay, 1 p.m. London time, and the first module is all about self-care. Okay, it's all about self-care. So if you're struggling with your own self-care, if you're struggling to get things done, if you really want to be able to show up powerfully in your private practice or your coaching practice or whatever it is, okay, and you want to join the North Star Business School, we are going to be spending the next 6 weeks on building the foundations of your self-care. Okay, so if you're interested in working with me, you can either work with me for the 6 week term, or you can work with me across the 9-month experience. You can click the link in my bio, go to heal.juneallen.net. That's heal.juneallen.net. That's heal.juneallen.net. Thank you so much, Sacred Sisters, for joining me today. I really, really appreciate it. Thank you to those of you that show up. For those of you that show up and engage with me and share your stories and allow me to give me an opportunity to serve. This is about, I really am humbled by the opportunity to serve. Okay, because I am not here for me. I'm here for you. I'm here for the community. Okay, so I really, really appreciate it. If you know somebody that that is struggling with being a sacred sister, okay, or you think would benefit from this live stream, please, share it with them, tag them, let them know that they're not alone. And there are black women out here that are kicking some ass. There are some black women out here kicking ass in therapy. There are black women out here kicking ass in their business. There are black women out here kicking ass as parents. And we need to be supporting each other so that we can continue to kick ass. Okay, so thank you so much for joining me today, and I will see you next time. If you've got any questions or any feedback or anything else that you want me to anything else you want me to talk about with regards to the business school and stuff like that, you can drop me a note in the comments, or you can send me a DM, or you can email me info@yardofgreatness.com. Okay, thank you so much for joining me today, and I will see you next time. All right, take care, bye, have a good week. Okay.